After signing up and signing into the online learning agreement, you are now ready to begin creating your learning agreement to begin your Erasmus journey. As you can see on top, a few extra options have shown up. You can read more about the platform or see an FAQ for some of the frequently asked questions, as well as access the old features of the previous online learning agreement, which will be slowly discontinued and should only be used in case you already made a learning agreement using the previous platform. You can also see your learning agreements and review the account details that you set up as part of the sign-up procedure. The main part of the online learning agreement platform is the dashboard of your learning agreements. It is here where you can see all of your current agreements, their status, their history, and see whether there's any action that needs to be taken on your behalf. If your institution is initiating the learning agreement, you already see the initial draft of the learning agreement that you need to build displayed here. But in our case, we will start a new learning agreement ourselves, which can be done by simply clicking on the Create New button. This initiates the procedure of drafting a learning agreement. You are then prompted to select the type of mobility you want to attend, such as regular semester mobility or the new blended mobility that was introduced in the new Erasmus Plus program. It is important that you pick whichever type is relevant for you, as new types will be added during the lifetime of this platform, and each of them are tailored to create the specific learning agreement that is needed for your type of Erasmus Plus exchange. I will pick the semester mobility. As you can see, we are now in the process of creating a learning agreement. The first thing that we're asked to do is double check the student information. So you will see here a copy of the details you already left during the sign-up process, so it's a matter of making any last-minute corrections if they're needed. It's also important that you select the correct academic year for when you're going on exchange, which might be different from the current academic year. If we are happy with all the information here, we simply click Next to proceed to the next stage of the learning agreement. Now we have to fill in the details about both the sending institution and the receiving institution. As you can see, we are first prompted to type the country, and we automatically get offered a list of countries and a list of universities or other types of education institutions at this country. In this case, I'll be using a demo account. I can specify the faculty. This can be a mandatory field or not, depending on the type of institution. You'll see that certain information, such as its address or Erasmus code, are already fetched. You can always double check these if you know what they are. Secondly, you have to fill in the responsible person and the administrative contact person, if there is one. The responsible person is the person that will sign the learning agreement on behalf of the institution. So this is the person that is responsible for mobilities at your institution, which you can always double check at your institution about whose details to put there as part of your nomination process. You can also optionally provide an administrative contact in case the person guiding you through the process of creating your learning agreement is different from the person that will legally sign the document. However, only the responsible person is needed. You fill in their details and their contact information, and you can proceed to the next step. The next step is to repeat the same step for a receiving institution, the one where you will go as part of your Erasmus Plus experience. And the form is the exact same. You pick an institution and once again fill in the details of the responsible person and possibly the administrative contact as well. It is important to highlight that only institutions that are a part of the Erasmus Without Paper network, a digital infrastructure for exchanging information across academic institutions, are able to use the online learning agreement, which means that if an institution is not connected to the network, you will not be able to pick them. In case you run into this error, be sure to reach out to the person at your institution that is responsible for your mobility, such as your International Relations Office or Erasmus Office, and let them know that you've faced this error so that you can later on proceed building the learning agreement. Although, if all of the details are already arranged beforehand between the institutions, this error will not be an issue. To proceed, I will select an account that is connected to the Erasmus Without Paper network. After providing the institutional information, we have to build our mobility program. So these are the different learning components, which are, for example, courses at universities that you will take during your Erasmus experience and which courses will be recognized in exchange. So we start this by selecting the start of the mobility period and the end of the mobility period, which you will already know in advance when you start building your learning agreement. And then you have to fill in table A, which are the courses you would take at your receiving institution. You can add them one by one as these boxes here. You need to write its title, its component code, the number of ECTS credits that you will receive or are expected to receive as part of this course, and in what semester it will take place. Any details about study courses should be provided by both institutions in form of course catalogs, so you can review what courses are available to you, or they will already be pre-filled if the institution initiates the learning agreement. And you can continue adding components like this, or remove them by pressing on the remove button and confirming the fact you want to remove them. You have to select the main language of studies at the institution, as well as the expected language competence. And then you have to fill in table B, which are the courses that you would have taken originally at your home institution that will now be recognized using the components you gained during your Erasmus+. So you once again fill in the same details as before, select the detail, but you'll see a new box here linked to the automatic recognition. Automatic recognition is a large part of the new Erasmus Plus program, and it means that by default, all courses in the learning agreement are marked to be recognized, which means that you will gain this ECTS in your diploma and your diploma supplement as expected. However, in case your institution later on decides to not recognize this course for whatever reason, they will be able to remove this checkbox and write in the details here when you come back later to review your learning agreement. You have some few additional fields here if they are relevant, such as additional provisions or a link to the course catalog, and we're ready to proceed. A new addition to the Erasmus Plus program are virtual learning components, and you can select these in case you take additional online courses, for example, before, during, or after your physical mobility to build up and enrich your experience. Now, these can also then be recognized similarly as before, which means you will once again have to fill in the same details as before with an optional requirement of a short description of the virtual component. And once again, an institution will have to mark if this component is not recognized, because by default, it will be recognized. And finally, all that is left is to sign a learning agreement. First of all, be sure to read the commitment that you're signing to. It highlights the requirements of you as well as the sending and receiving institution on what requirements all parts need to meet, and also be sure to check any additional requirements from institution as well as the Erasmus Student Charter to be sure what rights you have as a student going on the Erasmus Plus program. So we sign by drawing here. You can press Queer, and we press the quick sign, and we can once again have someone review the learning agreement both at the sending institution first and then later on at the receiving institution. And as you can see, we now have a new learning agreement that has the status of signed by us and sent to the sending higher education institution to review. We have quick details. We can review the information that we just wrote. We can download a PDF, which is matching the official template of the Erasmus Plus program, and we can see the history. So you can see in case someone has signed it or someone has rejected the agreement or made changes to it, you can down the line see all of this activity here and see the different versions and compare them between each other. And that is the main aspects of creating a learning agreement. After this, it is important to wait for an answer from both institutions on whether any changes are needed to be made.